easy. We require the designer to simply create 8 images, and we name them according to their direction. So you have, starting at the top right there, northwest, north, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, and west. So you create those 8 images, and the style sheet will ensure that you have a seamless image with rounded corners that can scale infinitely in either direction, horizontal or vertical. The way we accomplish that is using semantic markup, using only divs, and if you follow this structure, then the rounded corners sort of is automated. As you can see, there's some nesting going on there, and one of the things I've tried to do is to completely eliminate the use of things such as floats, CSS floats, etc., because those tend to have varying degrees of support in browsers and tend to mess things up. So this markup is rock solid in terms of cross-browser support. Whatever browser you look at it, you will see an element with rounded corners, and it will scale to fill whatever space horizontally is available, and vertically according to the height of the content. As a designer, you can put this HTML markup perhaps in your container. You can even use it in your skin. As a developer, you can use it in your modules if you want to have rounded corners. And from a CSS perspective, this is all you got to do. You got to import the style sheet and tell it what the 8 images are, and you're done. So it's really that simple. So we've taken away all the hard work of creating rounded corners. The next one is layouts. This discussion about layouts and the advantages of table-based design versus div-based design sometimes attains, causes more trouble than I think religious debates and political debates in some cases. So I'm going to make a statement here that we don't care what you prefer, whether you prefer table-based designs or div-based design. What we would like to do is provide support in the course so you can use either. Now, I have very little hair remaining as in trying to come up with this solution. It is very challenging to come up with a multi-column solution that works cross-browser without CSS hacks and supports colored backgrounds for columns. If you've spent any time trying this out, you know how very challenging it is. And we're trying to really make it easy. But before I go into that, let's look at why you might want to use a layout, a columnar layout that's div-based versus table-based. So the first and foremost reason is that arguably table-based layouts are not semantic. They are more suited for rows and columns of numbers, so a spreadsheet or tabular data is more suitable for it. Semantically, the W3C recommends the div element as the element to use for laying out content on a page. The next thing is table-based layouts do not allow you to optimize your page for search engines. So with tables, the order in which you place elements, rows, columns, is the order in which they appear, unless you use something like the relocation widget. But that's practically useless from a search engine perspective. It's only useful from a client perspective. With a div-based layout, you can position items that are more important higher up in the page, therefore giving them greater weight with search engines. Tables are no doubt easy to create. I mean, it's like the first thing anyone learns when they're doing HTML is, table, TRTD, blah, 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 etc. So are div-based layouts easy to create? Well, yes, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. In some cases, it can be very, very complicated. Now, I personally believe that table-based layouts are a pain to manage because especially when you've got 1 or 2 column spans and row spans in there, then unless you're using a WYSIWYG designer, it becomes a nightmare. And even when you have a WYSIWYG designer, it's still not easy to manage. And then you get into nested tables, which makes it even worse, How many times have you been editing a page where you remove, a column cell or something and then find that the layout's gone, nuts. So I put a no there, but again, that's arguable. I think div-based layouts are easier to manage depending on the syntax, the markup you use. One of the major advantages of table-based layouts is that tables can neatly expand to fit the content, depending on whatever style attributes you specify for it. Div-based elements can do that, again, based on the style attributes, but they don't have, and I hate to use this word in the context of table, but they don't have the elegance of stretching around the content with tables. Obviously, tables have been around for eternity, so cross-browser support is excellent. Tables don't tend to be very accessible because, again, the order of the content that would appear in the tab order of, say, a user using a keyboard is strictly the order in which the designer has placed the columns. You don't want to have maybe ads and all that be the thing that a user has to tab through before getting to a form on your page. But unfortunately with tables, that's what you do. With div-based, you don't have to do that. Tables have to wait until the whole table's markup is in the browser's rendering memory space before they're rendered. With div-based, the browser just keeps popping things out to the page and adjusting the style as it goes. Table-based layouts do not scale very well for browsers. Now, I do not mean using a percentage scale and saying, scale it. What I mean is most modern browsers today have a view menu where you can adjust the size of the text depending on whatever your visual comfort level is. Well, with tables, the columns will not. It is not impossible, but quite challenging to make them scale dynamically according to the user's text selection. Divs, as you will see shortly, it's fairly simple to do. So how do we go about creating cool layouts easily? Well, first and foremost, what you do is you create the scaffolding markup. So essentially this is 3 nested divs, and the class value there, 3-column-portal, that's a specific class that's built into the DNN layout style sheet, and by using that you're telling the style sheet to create 3 columns in a standard portal holy grail configuration. Left narrow column, middle column that spans, that stretches as needed, and right narrow column. So you see 2 classes there, DNN mid and DNN side. Those are sort of the scaffolding that build up that column structure. And then you add your columns. I'm using the standard .NET new content pane, left pane, right pane. But what you see here is that there's classes of DNN-A, DNN-B, and DNN-C. That is a weight. So DNN-A should be the column that has the most important content that you want to appear first in the page. DNN-B is secondary and DNN-C is last. Whatever your most important content is, you wrap it with a DNN-main. So the style sheet knows that that's the main content. Having done this, you have now basically created a 3-column layout without using tables that will work across all grade A browsers. Yeah, you had a question, sir?
No, it's okay. I'll ask.
Okay. So I'll give you some examples here. So this is what the 3-column portal layout would be. Now, I'll just say right away that a lot of the work that was done in this was inspired greatly by another CSS designer, and you'll see his name and his link in the style sheet. So please do visit his website and link to him if you use these designs. So if you look at the markup here, the class is 3-column-portal. Now, let me contrast that to the next one, which is a standard, what I call a blog layout, where you have the blog content, and then you typically have 2 columns, possibly some ads, a calendar, an archive, etc. on the blog. Notice that the markup has not changed. Obviously, the IDs of the panes have changed because that's a requirement for .NET Nuke, but the only thing I changed was the class name. I went from 3-column portal to 3-column